My name is Simard, and welcome to our gallery, Simard Bilodeau Contemporary. Let me introduce you to my wife, the co-owner of the gallery, Eve-Marie Bilodeau.
We're very excited to be here today, here in our location in downtown Los Angeles. We also have another location in Shanghai, China. How we choose our artists is based on the connection that we have with them and the art that speaks to us the most. This event of the Citi Virtual Gallery for the LA Art Show 2021 is very exciting. This is for us the opportunity to share with you, with those that cannot travel due to the pandemic, the art that we will be presenting at the art show. We are very thankful for the generosity of the LA Art Show and for their official bank partner, Citi. Simard Bilodeau has been participating in the Los Angeles Art Show for 10 years. And this year is even more special because of the global situation. We have selected a group of 5 different artists, 4 of them being women artists, from emerging to established artists. They all have one thing in common, which is the importance of truth and honesty into their artworks. Here is a piece by Ty Mainhard. It is titled, "Sometimes When I Fall Asleep, I Think of You." It is the largest piece that Ty has painted so far in her career. Ty is a young artist, and we have been representing her for a short time. When I saw her work on Instagram, because that's how I found Ty, I knew there was something there. In December, she lost her dad from COVID-19. It was, of course, a very challenging time for her. And how she was able to cope with the 2 weeks of suffering and not knowing, and then the passing of her father, was actually to just focus on painting. And as she was doing this, she actually developed much more in depth this technique of painting. Before her father passed, she created similar artworks, but it was more in different types of style. With his passing, she really started doing these compositions, and the work is collected everywhere. It's really it was an enlightenment, and she feels like her father has accompanied her through the process. Your eye will go from one point to the other. One shape and form will call for another one. Here she talks about consciousness and unconsciousness. For her, everything that's in blue is about unconsciousness, about dreams. The green parts that we found throughout the painting refer to consciousness, to nature, to something that's real. Another thing that's really interesting about her work is actually there's a lot of exposed canvas. She doesn't prep her canvases. She does use, to start, black gesso. That creates a very matte and deep feeling. And then she's gonna bring in different color, a different texture. Here we can feel the very strong marks of the oil sticks and the pastel sticks that she uses. And then she goes from one point to the other, and the artwork is actually built as she's adding to it. One of the artists that we are presenting for the LA Art Show 2021 is Yelda Sepapour. Yelda is an amazing woman artist. She's only 25 years old. She's originally from Iran. We discovered her when she was 21. She was still a student in California in arts. That was 4 years ago, and that's the first time we presented her work at the LA Art Show. This year, we've chosen this piece, The Last Duel, that she created specifically for the LA Art Show and the Citi Virtual Gallery. There's intensity, there's passion, there's incredible beauty. The beauty that's unique to women and also to animals. And there's this impact between the two. In her work, there are layers and layers of very thin, transparent, translucent painting. At this size, it's hard to imagine how many brush strokes there are in Yelda's painting. She used a lot of layers of transparencies, glaze, but also thicker texture, which is unusual for Yelda's work. Here is a piece by Alfredo Romero. It's titled Golden Black Street. Alfredo is a Spanish artist, has been living in Mexico for over 10 years. He was really interested into the culture of Mexico. He did some projects with the Ministry of Culture there. And a few years back, he wanted to give back to the community. That led him to create a project called Vestigios of Our Times, which is Vestigios de Nuestros Tiempos in Spanish. What he does is that he goes throughout streets of Mexico in search of archaeological, anthropological gems from the years the 1950s to the 1990s. He's actually extracting facades of the buildings where originally the advertisement, messages, campaigns were painted directly on those facades. Now these are getting lost with time and weather, so by extracting them, he's actually safekeeping them. When he extracts a piece, he lays it on a cotton canvas. That's his first intervention with the artwork, and he will do other type of interventions once in the studio. Sometimes he will insert gold leaf where there are less of the original facade, completing the empty space. So here, if you look closely, every single crack, every single detail, which may look like it's damaged, is part of the artwork. It's part of its history. And that's what makes it so unique and so important. Here is a piece by Emma Larsson. Emma is a Swedish artist. She lives and works in Stockholm. Her work is inspired by flora, everything that comes from plants, flowers, expression of nature. She actually spends a lot of time in the woods around Stockholm. She conveys these plants, these shapes and forms in a very organic way. Colors, a lot of colors, very uplifting. So here we have a piece titled Ikebana Flower 7. It's part of a series of interpretation of that plant. Emma does most of her work on paper with watercolor and mixed media, and here on canvas, where she uses different mediums. For example, in a lot of her paintings, she'll actually include sand, which create texture. And the shapes and forms are leaning against each other in a very gentle way. There's a lot of sensuality into her work, and you can really feel that. It doesn't grab you here, it really grabs you here. Emma is a very free spirit, and I think that that's what we grasp into her work. She doesn't sacrifice her creation. She said she doesn't think while she creates. It's really instinct, and I think that's what we're getting in the work. It's through the generosity of the LA Art Show and their official bank partner, Citi, that we're able to share this with you today.